Rockies have a pulse. It's a slow, deep rhythm beneath 10,000 feet of stone and ice, a heartbeat you feel in your marrow before you ever hear it with your ears. My bones have been humming with it for 3 days now, a warning that crawls up my spine like frost on a window pane. The kind of warning that says something is watching, something is waiting, and whatever it is, it's been counting your steps since you left camp. My name is Rowan, and I am the Omega of the Ridgeback Pack. That is not a mark of shame, though my packmates have spent the better part of my 24 years trying to convince me otherwise. And Omega is not weak. We are the nerve endings of the pack, the ones who feel the tremor in the earth before the avalanche, who taste the shift in wind before the storm, who sense the predator in the shadows, while the alphas are still beating their chests at the sky. Right now, every nerve I possess is screaming that today will be the day my warnings finally matter, or the day they get me killed. The morning breaks cold and pale over Glacier Basin, 8,400 feet above a world that has no idea we exist. The sun is a distant, indifferent coin of silver behind the clouds offering light but no warmth. The temperature reads negative 38 degrees Fahrenheit on the old thermometer Diesel keeps on his pack, strapped cold enough that your spit freezes before it hits the ground, cold enough that exposed skin goes numb in under 3 minutes. I watch Thorn from my position at the rear of our hunting line. He stands on the ridgeline like a monument to his own arrogance, shoulders squared against the metallic dawn, one hand pointing north toward the contested valley we call Silver Run. Thorn is 36 broad as a barn door, with the kind of voice that sounds like gravel being crushed under a tank tread. He's been our alpha for 8 years ever since his father died in a rock slide that I predicted 3 hours before it happened. No one listened then either. The elk herd is moving through Silver Run. Thorn announces his words forming white clouds that hang in the still air. 40 head, maybe more. We claim them before Mountain Shadowpack gets wind of the opportunity. This hunt will secure our winter stores. We move fast, we move silent, we take what's ours. Diesel and Paxton, our two betas, punch their fists against their chests in unison. The sound is muted by their heavy fur-lined coats, but the gesture is clear enough. Diesel is 31, built like a battering ram with a scar that runs from his left eyebrow to his jaw, a souvenir from a bar fight in Whitefish 3 winters back. Paxton is younger at 28, leaner, with the kind of nervous energy that makes him twitch at shadows. They see this hunt as glory. They see meat and status and the satisfaction of beating another pack to a prize. I see something else entirely. The wind coming down from Silver Run doesn't smell right. It should carry the grassy, musky scent of elk, the warm animal smell of a herd on the move. Instead, it carries snow, the sharp mineral scent of a storm that hasn't arrived yet, and beneath that, something older. Something patient. The aspens that dot the slope below us are too still. Not the stillness of a windless morning, but the stillness of held breath. The chickadees that usually chatter in the pine boughs are silent. Even the ravens, those opportunistic scavengers who follow hunting parties in hopes of scraps, are nowhere to be seen. The forest is not empty. It is full of something that knows we are coming and has been ready for us since before we woke. I try to speak. The words catch in my throat the way they always do when Thorn's attention is a physical weight on my shoulders, when the collective will of the pack is a pressure that makes my lungs feel too small. Thorn, I manage, and my voice comes out quieter than I intended. The wind, it's wrong. The aspens on the western slope, they're too quiet. Something is listening. Thorn's glance is a dismissal, casual as a man brushing snow from his sleeve. Your omens again, Rowan. The only thing listening is our empty bellies. You'll take rear guard, carry the kills, make yourself useful for once. Diesel snorts a short, cruel sound that cuts through the cold. Maybe the trees are holding their breath because they're embarrassed for you. Paxton doesn't even look at me. He's already checking his pack straps, adjusting the coil of rope at his belt, his mind on the hunt ahead and nothing else. The message is clear as the ice forming on the rocks around us. I am the feeling, but they are the fist. My warnings are the whisperings of a man who has never proven his worth in blood or battle. So I follow. I always follow. We move like a gray river through the skeletal birch forest, a line of 4 wolves in human form, stepping carefully through snow that ranges from ankle deep on the wind-scoured ridges to waist deep in the hollows. Thorn leads his stride, confident and sure. Diesel and Paxton flank him, moving in that unconscious symmetry that comes from years of hunting together. I fall behind my boots, sinking into the deep powder, where their passage has only partially compressed the trail. The farther we push into Silver Run territory, the heavier the silence becomes. It is not peaceful. It is the silence of a predator, crouched in tall grass muscles, coiled, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The Clark's nutcrackers have vanished. The squirrels, normally busy with their endless, chittering complaints, are absent. Even the wind seems reluctant to move, as if afraid to give away a secret. I count my steps to keep the anxiety at bay. 143 steps from the ridgeline to the first stand of lodgepole pines. 206 steps to the frozen creek that marks the unofficial boundary into the deeper, less charted wilderness. Every step takes us farther from safety and closer to something my instincts recognize, but my mind cannot name. We find the elk herd at the apex of the valley in a clearing ringed by ancient Douglas firs whose branches are so heavy with snow they touch the ground. The herd is exactly where Thorne predicted 42 animals, their breath rising in a communal fog, their bodies a shifting carpet of brown against the endless white. It should be a hunter's dream, a perfect setup, a vulnerable herd, an easy approach from downwind. But nothing about this feels easy. Thorne signals with his hand a sharp, decisive gesture. The hunt begins with the kind of brutal efficiency that comes from a lifetime of practice. Thorne and I and Diesel circle left while Paxton moves right, driving a young bull away from the protection of the herd. The bull is maybe 3 years old, 700 pounds of muscle and panic, his antlers still carrying velvet from the previous season. He runs because that is what prey does, but he has nowhere to run. The wolves, because that is what we become in the hunt, have mapped every escape route, blocked every exit. I watch from a rocky outcrop 50 yards upslope, my assigned position, as the rear guard, the one who waits to help carry the kill back to camp. I watch Thorne's strategic mind at work, see the way he and Diesel move, like two parts of the same weapon, see Paxton cut off the bull's desperate attempt to double back toward the herd. The kill is swift. Diesel brings the bull down with a perfectly timed lunge, and Thorne delivers the finishing bite to the throat. The bull's struggles cease within 30 seconds. Thorne throws his head back and releases a howl of triumph, a sound that tears from his chest and echoes off the granite cliffs that wall the valley. It is a declaration of dominance, a statement to any pack within 5 miles that the Ridgeback wolves have made their kill and will defend it. That is when the feeling in my gut turns to ice. The echo of Thorne's howl does not fade the way it should. Instead, it is answered not by a single voice, but by a subtle shifting rustle from the dense shadow-cloaked pines that surround the clearing. A rustle that sounds exactly like many bodies, dozens of bodies moving with deliberate, synchronized purpose. Not the chaotic scramble of prey startled by a predator's cry, but the controlled adjustment of positions by something that has been waiting for this exact moment. The triumphant light in Thorne's eyes does not dim. He is too flushed with the success of the hunt, too high on the adrenaline of the kill to hear what I hear, to feel what I feel. He sees my frozen posture, my ears straining toward the tree line, and his expression darkens with irritation. "Rowan, stop daydreaming and get down here," he barks. "We have work to do." I descend the outcrop, my boots slipping on ice-slicked rock, my heart hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. The scent of the kill-hot blood on cold snow, the released bowels of the dying elk, the sharp copper tang that always accompanies death feels wrong now. Cloying. Allure. "Thorne, please," I whisper as I reach them, my voice shaking despite my best efforts to control it. The howl. It was answered. From the pines, all around us. Diesel, slick with the sweat of exertion and spattered with the bull's blood, shoves a heavy haunch of meat toward me. The weight nearly buckles my knees. "Carry that. It's your job." No one answered anything but your own cowardice. I take the burden because refusing is not an option, but my eyes remain locked on the wall of trees that encircles the clearing. The shadows between the trunks seem deeper now, thicker, as if the darkness itself has substance. And for a single heart-stopping moment, I see it low to the ground, deep within the umbra of an ancient fir, a glint of light that is not the flat, dark reflection of a deer's eye. This is a sliver of molten gold, intelligent, impatient, and utterly focused on me. The eye holds my gaze for one breath too. Then it vanishes as if it had never been there at all. They do not see it. They are laughing now, the tension of the hunt bleeding away into the easy camaraderie of victory. Thorne is already planning the division of the meat, talking about the feast we will have tonight, the respect we will earn from the pack elders back at camp. Diesel is mocking my stillness, my wide eyes, my trembling hands. "Look at him," Diesel says loud enough for everyone to hear. "Scared of his own shadow, maybe we should leave him here to make friends with the trees." But it is not my shadow I fear. It is theirs. It is the dozens, no, the scores of shadows that I now understand are moving with us, around us, above us, with a discipline and coordination that no wild pack should possess. The truth crashes into me with the force of an avalanche, and the weight of it nearly drives me to my knees. We are not hunters who have stumbled upon prey. We are prey that has been lured into a killing field. The elk herd, the perfect positioning, the open clearing, it was all bait. And we took it like starving dogs thrown a scrap of meat. We begin the trek home burdened with 700 pounds of elk meat distributed among the four of us. Thorn and Diesel carry the bulk of the weight, their strength allowing them to move with relative ease even under the load. Paxton carries the hide and the smaller cuts. I carry a haunch and the heart wrapped in the bull's own stomach, lining to prevent the scent from attracting scavengers. But I know now that scavengers are the least of our concerns. I linger at the very back of our line, my eyes never still. Every few paces I glance over my shoulder, and every time I do, I see nothing but I feel everything. The pressure of being watched is a physical sensation, like hands pressed against the back of my neck, like eyes boring into the space between my shoulder blades. The forest follows us not with sound, but with presence. We reach the Black Creek, a shallow frozen ribbon of water that marks the unofficial border between the relatively safe territory we know and the deeper, darker woods that even our most adventurous scouts avoid. The ice is thick enough to walk on, but treacherous where the current has kept the water moving beneath a deceptively solid surface. Here, Thorn finally pauses. "We rest," he says, letting his burden slide from his shoulders to the snow. 5 minutes. Drink if you need to. Then we push for home. It is the opportunity I have been waiting for, the chance to see what my gut has been screaming at me to confirm. While the others gulp water from their canteens and stretch their shoulders, I drop my load and scramble up a nearby lightning-blasted spruce tree. The bark is rough enough to offer good handholds, and I climb with the desperate speed of a man who knows he is running out of time to prove he is not insane. 30 feet up, the world opens. I can see back the way we came across the wide expanse of Silver Run Valley toward the dense tree line where we made our kill. And what I see stops my breath in my throat, turns my blood to slush in my veins. The tree line is alive with stillness. It is a contradiction that makes no sense until you see it with your own eyes. 100 points of absolute motionlessness, where there should be the random chaotic patterns of a living forest. Shapes sleek and gray, low to the ground, positioned with mathematical precision along the ridge behind boulders, in the shadows of the great firs. 53 wolves. I count them twice to be sure, my eyes darting from position to position. 53. They are not moving like a pack on the hunt chasing prey in a chaotic rush. They are arranged like pieces on a chessboard, like soldiers in formation. They are a perimeter, a cordon, and that cordon is tightening, closing in on us. And every single one of them is facing our direction as still as carved stone, waiting for a signal I cannot hear. I slide down the tree, so fast the bark burns through my gloves and tears the skin from my palms. I stumble, catch myself and half run, half fall, to where Thorn stands already shrugging his pack back onto his shoulders. "They're here," I gasp, my voice cracking with the force of my fear and my desperate need to be believed. The pines are full of wolves, a whole pack, no more than a pack. 50 of them, maybe more. They've surrounded Silver Run and they're following us. Thorn's eyes narrow. For a single second, I see something flicker across his face, a shadow of doubt, a whisper of the same instinct that has kept him alive for 36 years in these mountains. But then Paxton steps forward, his face twisted with contempt. "Liar or fool," Paxton says, his voice sharp as broken glass. "You've been spooked by shadows since we left camp. You want to ruin the victory because you had no part in it." "It's not shadows," I plead, and I can hear the desperation clawing at my throat, turning my words into something that sounds like begging. "I saw them. Dozens. They're waiting for something. They're—" "Enough!" Thorn's voice is final, cold as the wind that has started to pick up around us. "This craven talk saps our strength. You are seeing phantoms, Rowan. Your mind conjures threats because your body is too weak to face real ones." Diesel moves closer, and the growl building in his chest is a sound I have learned to fear. He's trying to make us drop the meat, leave it for his phantom pack to steal. Maybe he's already sold us out to Mountain Shadow. Maybe this is all a setup. The accusation is a physical blow. I stagger backward, my boots slipping on the ice. No, I am loyal. I'm trying to save us. I'm trying to— Your saving is a disease. Thorn's patience shatters like a sheet of ice struck with a hammer. You shame the Ridgeback name with this panic. You make us look like cowards. He takes a step toward me, and the dominance rolling off him is a crushing wave, an alpha command laced with the supernatural weight that comes from years of leading, of bending others to his will. "You will be silent." you will carry your share. And if you speak another word of this madness, there will be consequences. Do you understand me? The command locks my jaw. It is not a request. It is a compulsion woven into the very structure of pack hierarchy, reinforced by every instinct that has been bred into me over 10,000 generations of wolf evolution. I can only nod, a tremor running through my entire body, my hands clenched into fists so tight my fingernails draw blood from my palms. Diesel and Paxton look at me with pure contempt. In their eyes, I am no longer just useless. I am suspect. I am a traitor who has tried to undermine their victory with lies and cowardice. We pick up our burdens. The journey resumes. But we are no longer a pack moving in unified purpose. We are 3 victors and 1 prisoner. Thorn leads Diesel and Paxton flank, and I drag my load behind them like a criminal hauling his own chains to the gallows. And step by step, breath by frozen breath, we walk deeper into the gathering twilight, with 53 pairs of unseen golden eyes tracking our every move from the shadows. They are waiting, patient as stone, disciplined as an army. But waiting for what? The answer I know with a certainty that turns my blood to frost will come soon. And when it does, it will not come as a question. It will come as teeth and judgment, and it will start with me, the one they have already separated, the one they have already marked as expendable, the one who tried to save them and was beaten down for the effort. The forest knows. The wolves know. And soon Thorn and Diesel and Paxton will know too. But by then it will be far too late. The weight of the elk meat is nothing compared to the weight of their disbelief. It presses down on my shoulders like a physical thing, crushing the air from my lungs with every step we take deeper into Thornwood territory. Every rustle of wind through the pines, every crack of settling ice in the creek bed is a drumbeat in my ears, a countdown to a disaster that only I can hear approaching. Thorn, Diesel, and Paxton move ahead with the confidence of men who believe the world bends to their will. Their conversation is a low rumble of plans and pride talk of the feast tonight, of the status this kill will bring, of the respect they will command from the pack elders. They speak as if the universe has already decided in their favor, as if the 53 pairs of golden eyes I saw on the ridgeline were nothing more than figments of a broken mind. I am an island of dread in their wake, separated by 20 feet of snow, and a chasm of belief that no words can bridge. The forest changes as we leave the open expanse of Silver Run Valley behind. The trees grow taller here, the lodgepole pines and Douglas firs knitting together into a canopy so dense it chokes out the weak afternoon sun. This is Thornwood proper, a place of perpetual gloom, even in high summer, named for the impenetrable thickets of wild rose and hawthorn that grow in the understory, their thorns capable of shredding flesh and clothing alike. Now, in the deepening grip of winter, it is a cathedral of shadows and silence, the thorns buried beneath 4 feet of snow, the air so cold it burns the inside of your nose with every breath. This is the perfect place for an ambush. Every hunter knows it. Every wolf who has ever traveled this route knows it. But we come here anyway because it is the fastest path home, because Thorn believes speed and strength are the only tools a pack needs, because warnings from an Omega are less valuable than the dirt beneath his boots. My eyes dart constantly, never resting. I see the signs now clear as painted markers, if you know how to read them. A fresh scrape on a tree trunk at shoulder height, too deliberate to be from a deer too high, to be from a bear emerging from hibernation. A patch of snow kicked up and scattered not by the random movement of wind, but by a body pushing through a gap too narrow for comfort. The placement of tracks. Wolf tracks larger than ours pressed into the snow alongside our own trail, and then deliberately obscured, swept away by a branch dragged across the surface. They are hurting us, not with aggression, but with subtle pressure, with the art of making one path seem safer than another, of closing options without ever showing a fang. The scent is the most terrifying part. They are downwind, always downwind, positioned with a precision that speaks to intelligence and coordination far beyond what any wild pack should possess. I cannot catch their smell directly, but I can smell the absence, the normal musky funk of thornwood. The scent of voles and foxes and rotting wood has been scrubbed away, overlaid by a void. Something powerful has passed through here recently, and every other living thing has fled or hidden, waiting for the danger to pass. I try again, not with words. This time my voice is still locked by Thorn's command and my own rising terror, but with action. I slow my pace deliberately, letting the distance between myself and the others stretch from 20 feet to 30, then 40. I pretend to adjust the straps of the hide that carries my portion of the meat, fumbling with the knots, my movements exaggerated and clumsy. My heart hammers against my ribs so hard I can hear the rush of blood in my ears. I am making myself a target, a straggler. If they attack me, the others will have to believe. They will see. They will finally understand that I was not lying, that I was not mad, that I was the only one among us who saw the truth. A low whine escapes my throat, purely involuntary, the sound a wolf makes when it is afraid and alone. Paxton at the back of the lead group glances over his shoulder. His eyes hold no concern, only irritation. He snaps his teeth once, a silent command to hurry up, to stop being a burden. I force my legs to move the gap, closing once more. The plan was foolish from the start. They would not care if I was taken. They would probably see it as a relief, one less mouth to feed, one less voice of doubt to undermine their certainty. They would tell themselves I fell behind, I was weak, I deserved whatever fate found me in these woods. The path begins to slope downward, funneling us into a narrow ravine carved into the mountainside by 10,000 years of snowmelt and erosion. This is Thornwood Gorge, a natural cut in the earth 200 feet deep and no more than 40 feet wide at its base, walled in by sheer granite cliffs on both sides. The creek we have been following plunges into it over a small frozen waterfall, creating a curtain of icicles that gleams like broken glass in the dim light. The gorge is a bottleneck, a choke point. If you were going to trap something to separate it from escape routes and corner it where numbers and position matter more than individual strength, this is exactly where you would do it. A chill that has nothing to do with the negative 38-degree temperature seizes my spine. This is it. This is the killing floor they have been driving us towards since the moment we entered Silver Run Valley. Thorn, I rasped, the alpha command fraying under the sheer force of survival instinct. The gorge. We should go around. Over the ridge. Please. He does not even turn. The gorge is quick. The ridge adds an hour. We have light for this gorge, not the ridge. Keep moving. His logic is impeccable and utterly blind. Diesel chuckles, the sound echoing off the stone walls that rise around us as we begin our descent. The Omega fears a steep path. Maybe you should roll down Rowan. It would be faster. Their laughter is short, hollow in the dense air. They start down the narrow switchback trail that leads into the throat of the gorge, their boots finding purchase on ice-slicked rock, their bodies leaning into the descent with the practiced ease of men who have made this journey a dozen times before. I stand at the precipice, frozen. From this vantage point, I can see a slice of the forest we have just traveled through, can see the ridgeline where the pines stand like sentinels against the darkening sky. And there, for one breathtaking, horrifying second, the shadows move. Not a chaotic scatter of startled animals, but a fluid, coordinated shift, like a ripple passing through a gray pond, like a curtain being drawn aside. A line of wolves, their fur the exact color of twilight-stained snow, and stone flows from one position of cover to another, closer to the gorge's rim. They are sealing the exit. The trap is not just ahead of us, it is behind us. It is above us. It is complete. I have to make them see. I have to. I throw down the heavy load of meat I have been carrying. It lands with a soft thud, the sound swallowed by the snow. But it is enough. All three of them stop and turn, looking up at me with varying degrees of anger and confusion. Rowan. Thorn's voice is dangerously quiet, the kind of quiet that comes before an explosion. Pick that up. I point a trembling hand back up the path toward the shifting shadows that have already hidden themselves again. They're there. They're moving to cut us off. You have to look. Please, just look. Diesel drops his own burden and starts back up the slope toward me, his expression dark as a thunderhead. I've had enough of this. You're not just a coward. You're sabotaging us. No, Diesel, stop. I am begging now, my composure shattered, my voice breaking. They're right behind that tree line, 50 of them. More. I saw them move. I saw. He reaches me before I can finish. You see wolves? His voice is a snarl. I'll show you what happens to wolves who defy their pack. He does not swing a fist. He does not slash with claws. He lowers his shoulder and drives it into my chest with the full force of his 210 pounds, the momentum of his uphill charge, and the rage of a man who has decided I am the enemy. The impact drives the air from my lungs. I stumble backward, my boots skidding on the icy rock at the very edge of the path. I fight for balance, my arms windmilling, my body tilting over the void. For a second, I teeter there, suspended between the path and the fall, between the known world and the abyss. Then I fall. Not into the gorge itself that would have killed me, 200 feet of granite and ice with nothing to break the descent. I fall off the side of the switchback trail, tumbling down a short but steep embankment into a thicket of bare, whip-like hawthorn bushes that grow at the base of the gorge wall. The thorns are winter dead, but no less vicious for it, and they tear into me as I roll, catching on my coat, my gloves, my exposed face and neck. I hit the bottom of the embankment hard, the impact knocking what little air remained in my lungs out in a single explosive gasp. Pain blooms in my ribs, my shoulder, the back of my skull, where it struck a buried rock. The world tilts and spins, goes gray. At the edges, threatens to drag me down into unconsciousness. I fight it. I have to stay awake. I have to see what happens next. Through a haze of pain in the skeletal branches of the hawthorn, I look up. The three of them stand on the path above me, silhouettes black against the slate-gray sky. I cannot see their faces, but I feel their disdain, their disgust radiating down like heat from a fire. "Get up," Thorn commands, and there is no pity in his tone, no concern, only exasperation. "Your dramatics waste time we do not have." I try. I push against the ground with my hands, but the thorns have caught in my coat, my pants, my hair. They hold me fast, dozens of tiny hooks embedded in fabric and flesh. "I'm stuck," I whisper. And the humiliation is complete, the final proof in their eyes that I am worthless. "I can't." "Get him out," Thorn snaps at the other two. "Be quick about it." Diesel and Paxton scramble down the embankment. They are not gentle. They do not untangle me carefully from the thorns. They grab my arms and my legs and they yank me free with brutal efficiency, and I feel skin tear, feel fur rip from my coat, feel new pain layering over the old. I cry out a sound that is part yelp and part sob, and I hate myself for it, hate the weakness it reveals. They drag me back up to the path and throw me down next to my discarded load of meat. I land hard on my hands and knees, gasping blood dripping from a dozen small wounds on my face and neck, mixing with the snow at my feet. Thorn looms over me. "Now," he says, his voice so cold it could freeze fire, "you will carry your share. You will be silent. You will do your duty. This is your final warning, Rowan. The next time you disrupt this hunt, you will not like the consequences. Are we clear?" I look from his hardened face to the smirking twins. No, not twins, but they might as well be in this moment united in their contempt for me. I look past them to the rim of the gorge high above. And there, perched on a boulder in clear view against the fading light, is a wolf. He is massive, easily 280 pounds in his shifted form, with a coat of grizzled gray that speaks to decades of survival in these mountains. A scar runs from his right ear to his jaw, a white line against dark fur, the kind of wound that should have killed him, but instead became a mark of his strength. He is not hiding. He is not trying to remain unseen. He is watching. His eyes are pale gold, the color of winter sunlight through ice. They meet mine across the distance, and in them I see no anger, no hunger, no bloodlust. I see calculation, assessment, intelligence that should not exist in the eyes of a wolf, even a shifted one. He is studying the scene below him, studying me, the beaten omega, the isolated member of a dysfunctional pack. He is reading the dynamics, understanding the weakness, cataloging the information for later use. He gives a slow, deliberate blink. Then he melts back into the stone and shadow, disappearing as if he had never been there at all. He saw everything. He saw my warning. He saw my beating. He saw my pack turn on me, saw them mark me as expendable, saw them drive the wedge deeper with every blow and every word of contempt. "Rowan," Thorn's roar breaks my trance. "I asked you a question. The truth is a desolate wasteland inside me. They will never believe. To warn them further is to invite more violence, more humiliation, maybe worse. The wolves in the shadows are a threat, yes, but in this moment, the wolves standing right in front of me are just as dangerous. I have reached the breaking point. The place where survival instinct finally overrides loyalty, where the beaten animal stops trying to appease the ones who hold the leash. My voice, when it finally comes, is flat. Dead. We are clear. I bend my muscles, screaming in protest, and hoist the caribou meat onto my back once more. The physical pain is almost a relief. It is something to focus on besides the crushing loneliness, besides the certainty of doom. I fall into line behind them as they start down into the throat of Thornwood Gorge. We are now 4 wolves walking single file into a stone gullet, with hunters above and the promise of violence hanging in the air like a storm about to break. And I know with a certainty that settles deep into my marrow that when the attack comes, I will be the first one they take. Not because I am the weakest, but because I am the one my own pack has made separate. I am the one they have pushed into the shadows. And the shadows, I now understand, are full of teeth waiting for their moment to claim what the Ridgeback pack has so carelessly discarded. The silence in Thornwood Gorge is a living thing, thick and suffocating. It is not the quiet of peace, but the quiet of a snare pulled taut one instant before it springs. The only sounds are the crunch of ice beneath our boots, the rasp of our own breathing in the thin mountain air, and the distant, mocking trickle of water beneath the frozen creek. A reminder that even in the grip of winter, something still flows, still lives, still waits. The walls of stone rise on either side of us, sheer and dark, 200 feet of granite that blocks out the sky and funnels us forward into a narrowing channel. Overhead, the rim of the gorge is a jagged line against the darkening sky, and I cannot stop my eyes from darting upward every few seconds, searching for the shapes I know are there, even though I cannot see them. I keep my head down, my eyes on Thorn's heels as he leads the way deeper into the gorge. The weight on my back is a familiar anchor, but the new weight in my soul is unbearable. The image of that scarred wolf's calculating gaze is burned into my mind like a brand. He had not looked at Thorn with that intensity. He had looked at me. Why, what does a beaten Omega offer to a hidden army of hunters? What value do I have to them? The gorge twists and the path narrows further, forcing us into the frozen creek bed itself. The ice here is slick and treacherous, a mix of solid footing and hidden weaknesses, where the current has kept water moving beneath a deceptively firm surface. Diesel directly in front of me slips. His leg buckles for just an instant, and he curses low and venomous, catching himself before he falls. But in that moment of imbalance, I see his head jerk up, his ears swiveling forward beneath his fur-lined hood. He has heard something, not from ahead where Thorn continues to march with single-minded purpose, but from the right-hand rim high above us. He glances back at Paxton, a flicker of something other than contempt passing between them. Uncertainty, a crack in the armor of their arrogance. Paxton gives a slight, almost imperceptible shake of his head. Don't say anything. Don't admit that the Omega might have been right. Their pride is a fortress stronger than these stone walls, and they will defend it even if it costs them their lives. Thorn remains oblivious, his focus entirely on the path ahead. Keep moving, he grunts. The light is fading. I want to be clear of this gorge before full dark. And then it happens. A sound breaks the silence, not from above, but from behind us, from the direction we entered. It is a howl, long and low and mournful, and it echoes off the stone walls, multiplying, becoming a chorus born from a single throat. It is the most heart-wrenching sound I have ever heard, filled with a pulling magic that bypasses the mind and speaks directly to the oldest, most vulnerable parts of the soul. It speaks to loneliness, to exhaustion, to the bone-deep weariness that comes from fighting a battle you cannot win. It is a call, and it is meant for me. I feel my steps falter. The howl seems to weave itself into the ache of my bruised ribs, the sting of the thorn cuts on my face, the desolation in my heart. It whispers of rest, of a place where no one will shove you or mock you or ignore your warnings. A place where silence is not filled with contempt, but with acceptance. For a terrifying second, I want to answer it. I want to drop my burden, turn around and walk back into the welcoming darkness. Rowan. Thorn's voice is a whip crack, shattering the spell. He has stopped and turned, his eyes narrowed, not at the sound, but at me. He saw my hesitation, my moment of weakness, and in his mind, it confirms everything he already believes about me. What are you doing? He demands. The howl fades, its last notes dissolving into the twilight like smoke. The gorge is silent again, but the air vibrates with a new tension, as if the stones themselves are holding their breath. It was a howl, I say, my voice thin and strained. You heard it. I heard nothing but wind in the rocks. Thorn states his gaze, daring me to contradict him, to give him an excuse for more punishment. Diesel and Paxton are statues, their faces unreadable in the growing shadows. They heard it. They must have heard it. It was impossible not to hear something that loud, that close. But the lie hangs between us, heavy and official, and they will not break ranks to admit a truth that makes them vulnerable. They're talking to each other. I plead, the words tumbling out despite knowing they will land on deaf ears. That was a signal, a specific call. They're coordinating. Paxton finally speaks, his voice dripping with scorn. So now you understand their language, do you? Your fantasies grow grander by the minute, Rowan. Perhaps next you will claim to read their minds. Before I can respond, a new sound comes from high on the left rim. A sharp, deliberate crack, like a thick branch being snapped in half by a powerful grip. Then another from the right rim. Then two more from behind us in rapid succession. Crack, 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 crack. It is a staccato rhythm, too regular to be natural, too coordinated to be random. It is a code, a countdown, a signal passing from position to position along the rim of the gorge. This time even Thorn's head snaps up. He cannot deny this. It is too clear, too aggressive, too obviously deliberate. What was that? He growls, and for the first time since we left camp this morning, I hear a trace of doubt in his voice, a hairline fracture in his certainty. Nothing, Diesel says quickly, too quickly. Ice falling from the branches, maybe a small rock slide. This gorge is unstable. We should move faster. He is trying to sell the lie to himself as much as to Thorn trying to maintain the fiction that will keep his worldview intact. But Thorn is an alpha because he has good instincts. Instincts that have kept him alive through challenges and threats that would have killed lesser wolves. Those instincts, buried under layers of arrogance and habit, are finally stirring. He looks at the towering walls lost in shadow. He looks at the narrow path ahead and the even narrower path behind. He sniffs the air, his nostrils flaring, searching for the scent he has been too proud to acknowledge might be there. He is putting the puzzle together, and the picture forming is starting to frighten him. His eyes land on me, cowering under my burden, blood dried on my face, exhaustion and terror written in every line of my body. And in that moment, I see a horrific realization dawn on him. The phantom wolves might be real. And if they are real, then I was right. And if I was right, then he, the alpha, the leader, the one who is supposed to protect the pack, has been catastrophically, fatally wrong. He has beaten his early warning system into silence. He has punished the one wolf among them who could sense danger before it arrived. The shame and fury of that possible truth wars on his face, twisting his features. But admitting error is not in Thorn's nature. Accepting that an Omega might be wiser than an Alpha would shatter the foundation of everything he has built his identity upon. It is easier, so much easier, to destroy the evidence. His fear transforms into rage, and that rage needs a target, the safest target, me. "This is your doing," he hisses, advancing on me, his boots crunching on the ice. "Your panic, your cowardice. You have conjured this noise with your fear. You have brought a curse upon this hunt." I back away, my shoulders hitting the cold stone wall of the gorge. "No Thorn, please. They're real. They're telling each other we're in the trap. They're ready to..." His paw shoots out, not to shove this time, but to strike. The blow catches me across the muzzle, a backhanded slap that snaps my head to the side. Pain explodes bright and sharp. Stars burst across my vision. My head rocks back against the stone wall, and the world swims in and out of focus. "You will be silent," he roars, his voice filling the gorge, a futile attempt to command the very mountains to obey him, to bend reality to his will through sheer force of dominance. And from the rims, as if in answer to his roar, comes a new sound. A soft collective exhalation, the sound of 53 wolves letting out a held breath all at once. It is a sigh of satisfaction of a plan falling perfectly into place. It is the most chilling sound I have ever heard because it is so very, very human in its emotion. They are pleased. Thorn freezes, his paw still raised, the blood draining from his face. He heard it. They all heard it. The undeniable proof of a multitude hidden and unified, and now openly amused by our predicament. In the absolute silence that follows that ghostly sigh, a single clear howl rises. It is different from the first mournful call. This one is clean and sharp as a splinter of ice, a command given with the expectation of instant obedience. And it comes from directly ahead of us, from the mouth of the gorge, where the path opens up again into the wider forest. The trap is no longer just around us. It is in front of us. It is behind us. It is above us. We are not just caught, we are packaged, wrapped up like a gift ready to be delivered. Thorn slowly lowers his paw. He looks from Diesel's suddenly pale face to Paxton's wide, frightened eyes, and finally back to me, slumped against the wall, blood trickling from my split lip onto the pristine snow, my body a map of the violence they have inflicted. The truth is a physical presence, now cold and inescapable, pressing down on all of us with the weight of the mountain itself. His voice, when it finally comes, is a hollow whisper stripped of all its former power. "By the old gods, what have I done?" But his moment of realization comes too late. The echoing howl is the final piece, the signal they have been waiting to send. The shadows on the rims begin to stir, not with hidden movement now, but with deliberate revelation. One beat one, and along both ridges of the gorge, shapes rise from their concealment. Wolves, large and powerful, their forms silhouetted against the darkening sky, they stand like sentinels carved from shadow itself. They line the cliff tops, patient and still looking down upon us. I count them even through the haze of pain. 53. Exactly as I said, they do not snarl, they do not posture, they do not need to. Their sheer numbers, their flawless positioning, their unified silence. It is a proclamation of our utter defeat. We are 4 wolves in a ditch surrounded by 53 on the high ground. And the last thing I see before my vision blurs with tears of pain and vindication and terror is Thorn, our mighty alpha, looking up at the encircling host with the terrified eyes of a lost pup who has just realized he is not and has never been in control. The echo of his betrayal of my warnings mingles with the silent judgment raining down from above. And in that terrible harmony, I know our fate is sealed. The hunters have shown themselves. The waiting is over. Now the real reckoning is about to begin. Time stops in Thornwood Gorge. The world contracts to this circle of stone, the 4 of us huddled below the 53 watchers above, and the silence that presses down like the weight of the mountain itself. I can hear my own heartbeat, a frantic drumming against my bruised ribs. I can hear Diesel's ragged breathing, see the way Paxton's hands tremble as he stares upward at the impossible multitude. The defiance drains from them like water from a broken vessel, replaced by a stunned animal fear. Their eyes are huge in the gathering darkness, darting from one silhouetted form to another, counting, realizing the mathematical impossibility of survival. Thorn stands stiffly, his head no longer held in dominance, but bowed in the first gesture of submission I have ever seen from him. No one attacks, no one makes a sound. The wolves on the ridges simply watch, and this is worse than any charge could be. This is psychological dissolution. We are being dismantled by our own terror, unraveled thread by thread, without a single tooth being bared. Then movement comes from the rim ahead of us. The wolves there part like a curtain, each one dipping its head as a new figure emerges. Even from 200 feet below, I recognize him. The scarred wolf, the one who watched me being beaten. His coat is grizzled gray and silver, his body radiating decades of survival. That vicious scar cuts from his right ear to his jaw, a white line that speaks of battles won. His eyes are pale gold, ancient and intelligent at assessing us with the calculation of a general reviewing broken soldiers. He lifts his head and gives a short, soft chuff, a signal barely louder than a breath. From the shadows behind us, 2 wolves materialize. One is female with a coat of pure shadow black. The other is male russet brown with intelligent eyes. They approach with the calm certainty of those who know the battle is already won. The black female speaks, her voice melodic but steel-edged. You are not trespassing. You were invited. You will come with us now. Do not run. Do not fight. The outcome is the same regardless, but the journey will be less painful if you comply. They had seen it all. They had watched Thorn strike me, witnessed every dismissal, every blow. This was calculated intervention based on careful observation of a pack destroying itself from within. Thorn's shoulders slump. With a weak gesture, he signals compliance. Diesel and Paxton, trembling, begin to move forward. I try to stand, but my legs will not hold me. The adrenaline has drained away, leaving only the raw accounting of damage. 3 ribs cracked, maybe broken. The gash on my head still bleeding. Bruises blooming everywhere. I am a catalog of violentness. The black female moves to my side, not to Thorn, but directly to me. You are injured, she states. I can only nod. Your burden. Leave it. You carry enough already. There is something in her voice, acknowledgement, recognition of suffering. It is so unexpected that tears prick at my eyes. She shifts bones, realigning with sounds like green wood breaking, until a woman stands before me. She is perhaps 33, lean and strong with black hair, cropped short. Without ceremony, she offers her back. I will carry you. We have 6.2 miles to travel. You will not make it on foot. I drape myself across her back, and she lifts me with supernatural ease. She is impossibly warm, and I can smell pine and snow, and something else. Something that makes the panic in my chest slow just a fraction. I catch her name whispered among the escorts. Embry. Thorn, Diesel, and Paxton are ordered to carry all 700 pounds of elk meat between them, the prize of their arrogance, now a burden of their shame. We march for hours through the deepening night. The moon rises, casting the forest in monochrome. The temperature drops to negative 42 degrees, but Embry generates heat like a furnace, and I press against her back, stealing warmth, clinging to consciousness. Finally, we enter a hidden valley sheltered by towering cliffs at least 1,000 feet high. In the center, steam rises from a geothermal hot spring, misting the air with warmth. The valley floor is perhaps half a mile across, scattered with organized living spaces, carved into the cliff face, sheltered alcoves, communal areas, a central gathering ground around the water. This is no rogue hideout. This is an established civilization. I count as we enter. 127 wolves. 53 warriors, but also elders with graying muzzles. Healers carrying herb bundles. Pups tumbling in play. A complete pack, multi-generational, thriving in secret. We are brought to the central clearing. The entire pack gathers in a wide circle, 127 pairs of eyes reflecting moonlight and spring glow. The scarred wolf stands by the water's edge. Embry lowers me to the ground and I sway, but manage to stay upright. Thorn, Diesel, and Paxton are forced to their knees, but I remain standing. The scarred wolf shifts a controlled transformation, taking 30 seconds. When complete, a man stands before us. Perhaps 52, tall and broad with iron-gray hair shot through with silver, and that vicious scar bisecting his face. His eyes remain pale gold, unsettling in a human face. When he speaks, his voice is a low rumble that commands absolute attention. You are Thorn of the Ridgeback Pack. You lead by strength alone, by the volume of your voice and the weight of your fist. Today, the forest shouted a warning through the mouth of one of your own, and you struck that mouth closed. He pauses. You are a leader who blinds himself. A pack with such a leader is already dead. Thorn flinches but cannot speak. The man turns to Diesel and Paxton. You are strength without wisdom. You follow not from loyalty but hunger for reflected glory. You enforce blindness and call it duty. Then he turns to me and the entire pack's focus shifts. And you, Rowan, the Omega, the one who feels the tremor before the avalanche, who hears the silence before the storm. You gave warning. It was ignored. You were punished for truth. You were made to carry the weight of their ignorance, then beaten for staggering beneath it. His voice softens fractionally. The wolf who ignores his Omega's whisper has severed his own connection to the world. He is deaf and blind and starving in a forest full of food. He addresses the entire valley. We are the Silver Crest Pack. We watch, we listen, we are the balance. When a pack becomes poison to its own members, to the land itself, we intervene. My blood runs cold. Intervene. Excise. He speaks of execution. The man his name whispered around us. Sterling looks at my former packmates. Thorn, Diesel, Paxton, you represent sickness. The sentence for such poison is usually death. Diesel closes his eyes. Paxton trembles. Thorn stares at the ground. But today, Sterling continues, his gaze swinging back to me. We witnessed an Omega who, despite betrayal, despite violence, did not break, who tried again and again to save those who harmed him. That is strength so rare it appears once in a generation. A strength my pack values above all. He paces deliberately. Here is my judgment. Thorn, Diesel, Paxton, you will live, but you will remain here as guests. You will learn to listen, learn humility. You will carry water, tend the young, perform the Omega's work. You will learn the value of the voice you tried to silence. Whether you learn or perish will determine if you see home again. Then he points at me. Rowan, you have a choice. Stay here and help them learn, or return to Ridgeback alone. Return alone to a pack that will brand me traitor, coward, the one who survived when their leaders did not. My life there would be torture. I look at Thorn. For the first time in 8 years, I see not contempt, but desperate hope. He needs me. The hunter has become prey, looking to the beaten Omega for salvation. Sterling offers what I have never had, not just safety, but purpose, respect. In his pale gold eyes, I see a version of myself I never dared believe could exist. My voice is stronger than I expect. Clear, certain. I will stay. A ripple passes through the Silver Crest Pack. Approval, acceptance. Embry dips her head in a small nod that feels like a door opening. Thorn releases a breath that is half sob. Diesel and Paxton look stunned. Sterling nods once. So it is decided. He turns to wolves near the cliff base. Take them to the reflection caves. They begin their lessons now. 3 large wolves gesture Thorn, Diesel, and Paxton to rise. My former packmates are led away towards small caves, set into the western cliff face caves that offer no privacy, no escape, only constant exposure to the pack's watchful eyes. Sterling approaches me. You are injured. Our healers will tend to you. Tomorrow your education begins, not as an Omega learning to be invisible, but as something far more valuable. Tomorrow you learn what it means to be a heart sentinel. A what? His smile is slight, enigmatic. You will see, he gestures to Embry. Show him to the healer's den. Make certain he is fed warm and safe. He has earned all 3. Embry leads me across the clearing toward a larger alcove glowing with warm firelight. As we walk, she speaks. You showed more than courage today. You showed a gift, the ability to see danger before it strikes, to feel the emotional currents of the world. That gift is why you are alive. and why you are more valuable than any alpha in your former pack. I do not know how to respond to praise. It is a foreign language. We reach the healer's den. Inside, two elderly wolves in human form wait a woman with clouded eyes who must be 71 and a man missing one ear who looks mid-40s. This is Rowan, Embry says. 3 broken ribs, head trauma, multiple lacerations, severe bruising. He has not eaten in 12 hours. Care for him, he is one of ours now. The words one of ours strike like a physical blow. I have never been one of anything except a burden. The elderly woman approaches with gentle hands. Sit, child, I'm Sage. You are safe here. No one will harm you. That time is over. The man nods. I am Flint. Let us tend these wounds. As I sink onto soft furs as their practiced hands clean and bind my injuries as warmth from the fire and food they press into my hands begins to thaw the frozen terror I have carried so long, I feel something crack inside. Not breaking, opening, like ice giving way to spring. For the first time in 24 years, I am safe. 3 days pass in a haze of healing and sleep. My body mends slowly, the ribs still ache with every breath, but the sharp agony has dulled to a manageable throb. The gash on my head has been stitched with 7 precise sutures by Sage, whose clouded eyes somehow see more than sight ever could. Flint changes my bandages twice daily, his hands gentle despite the missing ear and the scars that map his own history of survival. On the 4th day, a Thursday, by my rough counting, I wake to find the pain has receded enough that I can sit up without gasping. The healer's den is empty except for me. Morning light filters through the entrance, painting everything in shades of gold and amber. Embry appears in the doorway as if summoned by my waking. She carries a wooden bowl of something that smells of meat and herbs. You are awake. Good. Eat. Sterling wishes to see you when you are able. I take the bowl rabbit stew rich and warm and eat with an appetite that surprises me. I have lost weight. Sage mentioned 12 pounds when she first examined me, bringing me from 140 down to 128. The hollow feeling in my stomach is not just from 3 days of sleeping. How are they? I ask between bites, and Embry knows immediately who I mean. Thorne is silent. He sits at the entrance to his cave and stares at the valley, watching the pack go about its work. He has not spoken since the first night. She leans against the doorframe. Diesel is angry. He performs his tasks carrying water-scrubbing cookpots, but his resentment fills the air like smoke. Paxton, she pauses. Paxton weeps at night. Flint says he hears him through the stone. Shame, perhaps, or the beginning of understanding. I set down the empty bowl. And what do they think of me? They do not see you. You are in the healer's den, and they are confined to the western caves and the tasks assigned to them. Sterling believes separation is necessary while you heal. When you are strong enough, then decisions will be made about your role here. She pushes off the doorframe. Come, if you can walk. Sterling is waiting at the memory stone. The memory stone sits in a hidden cavern behind the main valley, accessed through a passage draped with thick ivy. The air inside is warm and carries complex scents: dried herbs, crushed minerals, aged earth. Bioluminescent fungi cling to the walls in soft blue-green constellations, providing light that feels ancient and holy. Sterling stands beside a formation of smooth, dark stone in the center of the cavern. With him are 3 others: Sage, the blind elder, Flint, the one-eared healer, and a younger female I have not met, lean and still, perhaps 27, with the coiled readiness of a drawn arrow. Rowan, Sterling says as I enter, welcome to the Den of Echoes. This is the heart of the Silver Crest, where few are permitted without cause. He gestures to the younger female. This is Ash, our lead scout and tracker. Ash studies me with eyes that catalog every detail. She does not speak, only nods once. Sterling places his hand on the dark stone formation. This is the memory stone. It holds the imprint of every leader, every guardian, every wolf who has lived and died for the Silver Crest way over 2 centuries. We do not howl our history to the moon. We whisper it into stone. It is our living record. He looks at me. Place your hand upon it. I hesitate only a moment before stepping forward and pressing my palm to the stone. It is not cold, as I expected, but holds gentle warmth like a creature sleeping in sun. For a moment, nothing. Then vibration begins, subtle at first, then deepening. It is not sound, but resonance in my very bones. And with it come feelings, not my own. A surge of protective love so fierce it steals my breath. A pang of grief so old and deep it has become part of the stone itself. A thrum of unwavering purpose. The exhaustion of a long vigil in a blizzard. the sharp joy of a territorial dispute diffused without bloodshed, the crushing weight of necessary judgment, the sorrow of removing a wolf whose cruelty threatened the harmony of an entire forest. This is not a pack of hunters or warriors. They are stewards, surgeons for the wild, and their most sacred tool is not tooth or claw, but perception. I gasp and pull my hand away trembling. The resonance fades, but the awe remains thick in my throat. You felt it, Flint states. It is not a question. Sage steps forward, her clouded eyes somehow fixed on my face. You felt the truth of us, the burden of knowing, of watching, of acting only when the balance tips toward destruction. Sterling circles the stone slowly. The omega of a broken pack is often the first symptom of its illness, Rowan. You were not the cause of Ridgeback's rot. You were its early warning system, the canary in the coal mine. The poison that made Thorn deaf and the twins cruel was choking you first. We intervened not just to stop them, but to save the spark they were trying to extinguish, you. Ash speaks for the first time, her voice cool and precise. Every 50 years, perhaps one is born with your gift, the ability to feel the emotional currents of others as tangibly as scent or sound. We call them heart sentinels. They are rarer than alpha strength, more valuable than any warrior, because they can sense when the balance is breaking before anyone else sees the cracks. My legs feel unsteady. What would you have me do? Sage's gnarled hand touches my shoulder. Learn. As your former packmates learn to hear the forest, you must learn to interpret the song your gift sings. You feel emotions as storm and pressure. We will teach you to read their weather, to distinguish hot fleeting anger from cold, enduring malice, to know the difference between grief of loss and grief of guilt. Sterling's pale gold eyes hold mine. Your first lesson begins now. You will join Ash on the valley perimeter check. You will not speak. You will only feel. Afterward, you will tell her not just if something is wrong, but what you believe is wrong and where it originates. Ash gestures toward the exit. Come. We patrol the high ridges in silence. Ash moves like smoke, her steps leaving barely a trace in the snow. I try to emulate her, opening myself to the sensations of the land. At first, it is overwhelming, the simple contentment of a raven preening in sunlight, the worry of a mother vole in her burrow, the dormant hunger of a hibernating bear. Then I feel something else, a thread of discord thin and sharp. It comes from the direction of the reflection caves from where Thorn, Diesel, and Paxton are confined. I stop. Ash pauses, looking at me expectantly. I focus on the thread, following it like a scent trail. The burning anger I sensed from Diesel earlier has grown white-hot, fused with humiliation. Paxton's grief has curdled into sticky resentment, and Thorn's anxiety has spiked into something calculating panic laced with desperate energy. They are not reflecting. They are plotting. I look at Ash and see she already knows. She sensed it too, or read it in my expression. She changes our course, leading me silently to a vantage point overlooking the caves. From behind a boulder we watch. Thorn speaks in urgent whispers to the twins. We are not prisoners to be lectured. We are Ridgeback. We must find a weakness in their patrols, get word back to the pack. They will come for us. Diesel's voice is a guttural rumble. I say we take the next wolf who brings food. Use them as leverage. Paxton wrings his hands. They're always watching. They'll know. Then we must be smarter, Thorn hisses. Rowan moves freely now. He is the weakness. We get to him, make him see reason. He owes us his loyalty. The cold dread filling me has nothing to do with the mountain air. They see me not as someone they wronged, but as a tool to reclaim or a traitor to coerce. The poison is still deep driven underground by fear, but not cleansed. Ash touches her nose to my shoulder, a signal to withdraw. We slip away as silently as we came. When we are safely distant, she speaks. Report. I take a breath. They are not learning. Diesel's anger is violent. He thought of taking a hostage. Paxton is fearful but compliant. Thorn's anxiety has become desperation. They see me as their key to escape. They believe they can use me or force me. Ash's expression is grim. Accurate. You read the storm well for a first attempt. This is the reality of our work, Rowan. Healing is not guaranteed. Sometimes the sickness is too deep. Sometimes the only way to save the forest is to remove the infected limb. She looks at me, her gaze unwavering. The question now is, what do you feel should be done? You know their hearts better than anyone. The weight of the memory stone's echoes settles on my shoulders. This is the burden Sterling carries, not of judgment, but of choice with no clear good path. I think of the cold calculation in Thorn's eyes, the brute force in Diesel's, the cowardice in Paxton's. And I think of the serene, purposeful harmony of the Silvercrest Valley. They are a danger, I say slowly, not just to themselves, but to the balance here. If they escape, they will bring Ridgeback down upon this valley with blood in their eyes. They cannot be allowed to leave. Not as they are. Ash studies me for a long moment, then nods. A shadow of respect crosses her features. Then we must ensure they do not. And you, Rowan, must decide what role you will play in their containment. The Watcher or the Guardian who must act. She turned, leading me back toward the Den of Echoes. The lesson is over. Now the real test is about to begin. The next days blur together in a rhythm of training and observation. Sterling teaches me the technique he calls the inner chamber, creating a space within my mind where I can analyze emotions without being consumed by them. There is one feeling, Sterling says as we stand by the hot spring, that is undeniably and purely yours. Not a reaction to them, not a scar from their treatment, something from the deepest part of Rowan. Find it. I search past the fear, past the loneliness, past the desperate need to belong, and I find it a small, quiet, enduring flame. The feeling I had as a pup watching a spider weave its web in sunlight. The satisfaction of correctly predicting the first snowfall by the aching in an old wound. Curiosity, a profound need to understand the patterns of the world. Curiosity, I whisper. Sterling's eyes glint with approval. Good, a strong foundation. When Thorn's calculated panic tries to sway, you retreat to that chamber. Do not ask, how can I fix his fear? Ask, what is the true source of this calculation? What is its pattern? Separate the emotion from the person. Study it. We practice for hours. Sterling mimics the emotional signatures of my former packmates, projecting desperation, rage, manipulation. Each time, I retreat to my chamber of curiosity, analyzing rather than reacting. By evening, I am exhausted, but also feel a new fragile strength. I have a fortress within myself. It is during one of these training sessions that Embry joins us. She has been present at the edges of my awareness all week, bringing meals, checking on my healing, appearing when I patrol with Ash. But now she approaches, directly settling onto a flat rock near where I sit. Your progress is remarkable, she says, and there is warmth in her voice that makes something flutter in my chest. Most heart sentinels require months to build an inner chamber. You constructed yours in days. Perhaps I have had practice, I say. 24 years of trying not to drown in others' contempt teaches you to find something solid within yourself. She looks at me with an expression I cannot quite read. When Thorn tried to manipulate you yesterday, I felt it. His alpha command bleeding through the empathy connection. I saw you falter. You felt that? I am surprised. From across the valley, I am attuned to you. She says it carefully as if testing the words. Since I carried you that first night, something has resonated between us. Sterling says it is rare but not unknown when a heart sentinel meets someone whose emotional signature complements rather than overwhelms. She pauses, then reaches out and takes my hand. The touch is electric, warm, and in that instant I feel her, not her surface emotions, but something deeper. Strength like bedrock, loyalty like steel, and underneath it all, a warmth directed specifically at me. When you faltered under Thorn's manipulation, she says softly, I wanted to intervene, to stand between you and that pressure, and I realized something. Her fingers tighten around mine. My soul recognized you, Rowan, the way yours recognized mine. I stare at our joined hands, feeling the steady pulse of her heartbeat through the contact. It is an anchor, a shelter. When she touches me, the overwhelming flood of others' emotions recedes, filtered through her presence, until only clarity remains. What does that mean? I whisper. It means, Sterling's voice comes from behind us, and neither of us had heard him approach, that you have found something even rarer than a heart sentinel. You have found a balance point. Someone whose presence stabilizes rather than destabilizes your gift. He looks between us with something that might be satisfaction. Ember, you will train with Rowan from now on. Ash will continue perimeter work, but you will handle his development of emotional perception. You are uniquely qualified. Embry inclines her head, but her hand does not leave mine. That night, as I lie in my sleeping furs in the healer's den, now recovered enough that Sage and Flint have begun sleeping in their own quarters, I find myself thinking not of Thorn's plotting or Diesel's rage, but of Embry's hand in mine, of the way her presence made the world quieter, softer, manageable. For the first time in my life, I am not alone in my own head. On the 7th day after my arrival, a Wednesday, everything accelerates. Paxton requests an audience. Sterling grants it, and I am present when the younger beta is escorted to the central clearing flanked by two guards. He looks haggard, his eyes red-rimmed, his hands shaking. I wish to speak with Rowan, he says, his voice cracking. Alone, please. Sterling looks at me. I nod, though my stomach tightens with apprehension. We are given privacy near the hot spring, though Flint remains within sight 50 yards away. Paxton will not meet my eyes at first. When he finally speaks, the words come in a rush. They are going to try something. 3 days from now. The full moon. He looks up, his face twisted with misery. Thorn has a plan. Diesel is strong enough to trigger a rock slide at the Eastern Pass at 9 p.m. When the pack responds, they will take a hostage. Not just to escape, to bargain. To demand weapons territory, dominance. He is shaking now. Thorn has lost his mind, Rowan. He talks like we can become kings of ashes. He does not see what they are, what you have become. And his voice breaks. I was a fool. We all were. I followed the loudest voice because I was afraid to be small. Now I am small and alone and more afraid of what Thorn will do than of staying on this rock forever. The truth in his words is raw bleeding. He is finally reflecting, and the image he sees is unbearable. What do you want, Paxton? I want the screaming in my head to stop. I want to not be afraid of my own alpha. He gestures weakly toward the peaceful valley below. I want to earn a place in the silence down there. I glance at Flint, who gives a slow, deliberate blink. Approval. The first step to earning silence, I say with Jordan, is to stop creating noise. Will you tell Sterling everything, the plan, the timing, every detail? Paxton hesitates, looking toward the caves where Thorn and Diesel wait. Fear spikes in him, sour and metallic. Then it collapses, leaving only exhaustion. Yes, the plan is set in motion with the precision of a military operation. Sterling gathers his lead wolves, myself, Embry, Ash, Flint, and a half dozen others I have not been formally introduced to. The full moon is in 3 days. Sterling says, his voice calm but weighted. We will allow Thorn and Diesel to execute their plan. We will control every variable. 15 wolves will position at the Eastern Pass to respond to the rockslide, which we will trigger ourselves on our terms. 25 more will occupy the southern ridge. The southern ridge, I ask, why there? Ash answers, because 10 hours ago our scouts spotted Mountain Shadow Pack, 18 wolves led by their Alpha Cormac. They are moving toward this valley. They heard rumors that Ridgeback's Alpha was captured and believe us weakened. They see an opportunity to claim our territory. My blood chills. So we will be fighting on 2 fronts. No, Sterling says, and his smile is cold as winter dawn. We will be teaching on 2 fronts. Mountain Shadow will learn the cost of opportunism. Thorn and Diesel will learn the cost of arrogance, and both will learn it simultaneously. He looks at me. Your role, Rowan, is to be visible, calm, engaged in the life of the valley. You will project peace so complete it becomes a wall against their chaos. It will unnerve them. It will make their desperation seem petty and stark against the backdrop of our harmony. So I spend the next 3 days doing exactly that. I help Sage sort healing herbs. I play with pups who tumble over my feet without fear, their joy pure and uncomplicated. I eat with hunters who speak of the land's health, not just their kills. And through it all, I keep my inner chamber open to the reflection caves, monitoring the emotional storm building there. Thorn's signal is a dense knot of ambition and dread. Diesel's anger has been honed to a blade eager to cut. From Paxton's new location near the Elder Dens, I feel only hollow guilt and fragile hope. On the 10th day, 3 days after my conversation with Paxton, the full moon rises. 9 p.m. The moon hangs full and white above the valley, bright enough to cast sharp shadows. I sit near the hot spring, weaving repairs into a fishing net, a picture of tranquil belonging. But every sense I possess is stretched taut, waiting. At 9:03, the rumble begins. The Eastern Pass, where Ash's team has carefully loosened keystones, releases its avalanche. The sound echoes through the valley, grinding stone, the crash of boulders finding new resting places. 15 Silvercrest wolves sprint toward the pass with convincing urgency, their movements suggesting alarm, rather than the choreographed performance it actually is. Thorn and Diesel emerge from the caves. They have been watching, waiting for exactly this moment. Diesel is a mountain of muscle and fury as he charges toward the nursery area, a snarl tearing from his throat. Thorn arrows straight toward me, his eyes wild with fanatical fire. Now, Rowan, Thorn hisses as he reaches me. This is our moment. While they run to the rocks, we take the heart of their pack. You will come with me to the Elder Dens. You will be our shield, our witness. The old pull of Alpha Command slams into me, amplified by desperation and the chaos of the moment. For a heartbeat, my chamber wavers. But then I feel at Embry's presence, though she is hidden somewhere in the shadows. That steady anchor, that bedrock strength, the manipulation shatters against it like waves on stone. I look past Thorn toward the nursery. Diesel has been met not by terrified mothers, but by Flint and two massive wolves who simply form an immovable wall. Diesel's rage crashes against their silence, and he falters confused. I look back at Thorn. My voice is quiet, but carries across the sudden stillness. No. His face contorts disbelief, then fury. He lunges for me, no longer persuading, but compelling by force. He never reaches me. Embry and two warriors materialize from the shadows blocking his path. They do not attack. They simply stand an impenetrable barrier. And then from the southern ridge, new sounds erupt. Snarls, the thunder of paws on stone. Cormac's Mountain Shadow Pack. 18 strong pours into the valley from the south, expecting chaos and finding instead 78 Silvercrest wolves rising from concealment in every direction. The trap has sprung on both fronts simultaneously. Thorn spins, seeing Diesel blocked, seeing the eastern pass secure, and seeing a completely different pack now surrounded by warriors on all sides. The realization crashes into him, horrible and complete. "It was a stage," he whispers. "All of it. You knew." Sterling's voice rings out across the valley, and every Wolf Silver Crest Ridgeback remnants, mountain shadow invaders, freezes. "Yes, we knew." He stands by the memory stone, elevated slightly, backlit by the moon. His presence fills the space without effort. "Cormac of Mountain Shadow," Sterling calls. "You came to take land you did not earn, believing us weak. You are surrounded 4-1. Your choice now is to learn or to bleed. Choose quickly." A massive wolf at the front of the Mountain Shadow Pack, scarred across the entire left side of his face. His coat, mottled gray and black, shifts into human form. This is Cormac. He is perhaps 40, built like a brawler, his eyes assessing the impossible mathematics of the situation. "I came to test if the legends about Silver Crest are true," Cormac says, and his voice holds grudging respect. "You have answered that question." "Then you have your answer," Sterling says. "Return to Mountain Shadow. Tell them the balance is kept. If you come in peace next spring to trade, you will be welcomed. If you come with teeth, you will meet 100 teeth. Your choice." Cormac looks around at the perfect encirclement, at the disciplined silence of warriors who have not even needed to attack. Then he bows, not submission, but acknowledgement of a superior force. "We will remember," he says. He signals his pack, and they withdraw, not in panicked flight, but in organized retreat. Sterling waits until they have vanished into the forest before turning his attention to Thorn and Diesel. The entire Silvercrest Pack, 127 strong, forms a circle around the central clearing. Pups and elders, warriors and healers, all bearing witness. "Thorn, Diesel." Sterling's voice is stone and ice. "You saw mercy and thought it weakness. You saw community and thought it hostage. You doubled down on poison even when given the chance to heal." Diesel, still held by Flint's immovable wall, makes one last desperate charge at Sterling. He is fast, powerful, driven by suicidal rage. He makes it 3 steps. Ash moves like liquid shadow. One precise strike to the temple, a second to a pressure point in his shoulder. Diesel collapses, his rage finally silenced. Thorn, seeing his last ally fall, drops to his knees. Broken. All fight gone. Sterling walks to the center of the circle, standing before the kneeling Alpha. "The judgment of the Silver Crest is this. You, Thorn and Diesel, are a threat to the balance. You cannot be healed in the company of others. You will be taken under guard to the far side of the mountains, to the Red Desert of Wyoming. 180 miles north. A 7-day forced march. You will be left there with your lives and each other. Survive if you can. Build a pack on poison if you must. But you will never return to these woods. Your howl will never again be heard in these valleys. It is not death, but it is erasure. Exile to a place where winter temperatures drop to 50 below zero at night, where there is no prey, no water, no shelter. Where two wolves who hate each other will have only each other until the cold claims them both." Thorn says nothing. He just stares at the ground, defeated. Then Sterling turns to me. The entire valley's attention shifts. "And for you, Rowan, who stood in the storm and remained steady, the choice is still yours. Return to Ridgeback and lead them with the wisdom you have earned, or stay with the Silver Crest as a heart sentinel and keeper of the balance." I do not hesitate. I walk forward past Thorn to stand beside Sterling. I turn to face the pack. My place is here, I say, and my voice does not tremble. My place is in the silence that listens and the echo that heals. 127 throats release a single harmonious howl, not in triumph, but in welcome. The sound vibrates in my bones, sweeter than any I have ever known. As the howl fades, movement catches my eye. Sage, the ancient elder, stands before the massive stone statue of a wolf that sits at the valley's northern edge, a representation of Selene, the moon goddess, carved from granite generations ago. Sage raises her arms, and her clouded eyes suddenly flash silver, bright as moonlight, bright as starfire. Her voice, when it comes, is not her own, but something older layered with harmonics that should not exist in a mortal throat. The balance has spoken. The heart has chosen. The witness has become the guardian. The statue, 8 feet of solid granite that has not moved in 200 years, begins to turn. Slowly, with the grinding sound of stone on stone, the wolf's head rotates. Away from the valley, away from the south. It turns north, pointing toward the red desert, toward the place where Thorn and Diesel will be taken. The goddess has rendered her judgment. Sage's eyes return to their clouded white, and she staggers. Flint catches her before she falls, helping her to sit. The silence that follows is absolute, sacred. Even Thorn has looked up, has seen the divine intervention, and the last light of defiance dies in his eyes. "Take them," Sterling says quietly. "The goddess has spoken." 2 weeks pass. Thorn and Aizel are escorted north by 4 guards, a journey that will take 7 days. They are given no weapons, no food beyond what they can carry, no shelter but the clothes on their backs. The guards will leave them in the red desert on day 17 and return on day 18. I do not watch them go. I am done with them. Instead, I focus on my new life, on training with Embry, whose presence has become essential as breath, on learning from Sage and Flint the intricacies of healing and perception, on playing with pups who see me not as Omega but as friend, on eating with warriors who value my counsel. On day 18, word comes. Thorn's body has been found frozen solid 1 day after the guards left him. He survived 1 day alone in temperatures of 50 below. The cold claimed him as the goddess ordained. Diesel is missing. His tracks lead northwest toward the Yellowstone border, 45 miles from where he was left. Whether he survives is unknown, but his absence means he is no longer the valley's concern. He is a problem for another day, another pack. Or he is already dead, his body not yet discovered. I feel nothing at the news of Thorn's death. Not satisfaction, not pity, only a sense of closure of a chapter ended. On day 24, exactly 2 weeks after the full moon judgment, Sterling summons the entire pack to the memory stone for a ceremony. Embry and I stand before the stone as Sterling speaks. Rowan Hart, Sentinel, Embry, Guardian Warrior, your souls recognized each other in darkness. Now in light you will affirm the bond. He looks at me. Speak your truth. I turn to face Embry. Her dark eyes hold mine steady and warm. I choose you. Oh, I say, and my voice carries across the hushed valley. Not because of fate or destiny, but because you saw me when I was invisible. Because you carried me when I could not walk. Because your presence makes the world quieter, and in that quiet I can finally hear my own heart. Embry's hand finds mine. I choose you, she says, because you are strong in ways that strength cannot measure. Because you feel the world's pain and still choose hope. Because standing beside you feels like coming home. Our eyes flash simultaneously, hers bright gold, mine suddenly silver like Sage's had been. The mate bond spoken and affirmed, recognized by the pack and the goddess both. 127 wolves howl in harmony. Sterling places his hand on our joined hands. You are bound, you are witnessed, you are blessed. That night I stand on the ridgeline above the valley with Embry at my side. The moon is waning but still bright, painting the snow in shades of silver and blue. Below the valley is peaceful smoke, rising from cooking fires, pups playing one last game before bed, elders sharing stories by the hot spring. They beat me unconscious in a gorge at 38 below, I say softly. 53 wolves watch from the shadows, counting every blow. I thought I was going to die there, broken and forgotten. Embry's hand tightens around mine. And now I am no longer the beaten. I am the watcher. I am the heart that feels and the voice that warns. I am the mate of the strongest warrior I have ever known. And I am the guardian of the most just pack that has ever existed. My eyes, still gleaming silver from the bond ceremony, reflect the moonlight. The blessing of Selene, goddess of wolves and balance, marks me permanently. I am no longer just a heart sentinel. I am the Luna Oracle, the one who speaks with the goddess's sight. The forest has a heartbeat, I whisper. And for the first time in my life, Mine beats in perfect rhythm with it. Embry pulls me close and we stand together on the ridgeline, looking out over a hidden valley where 127 souls have found their balance, where the beaten became the blessed, where the frozen witness became the warming heart. And in the distance, so faint it might be imagination, I hear the howl of a lone wolf diesel, perhaps lost in the wilderness running from a judgment he can never escape. But that is a problem for tomorrow. Tonight I am home. Tonight I am whole. Tonight, for the first time in 24 years, I am exactly where I belong. The real story, the story of transformation, of divine justice, of finding your true pack, has been written in stone and blood and moonlight. And it is complete.